Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to the GMAE show, where we play your games that you're creating inside the Sandbox Game Maker live. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good day today because we have a lot of fresh, fun content coming out of the WMG Game Jam competition. You all are submitting these into the Sandbox Game Maker gallery right now. And we get the pleasure, of course, of playtesting those, giving feedback on those experiences, and hopefully helping make them just a little bit better as you are designing, developing them, not just for competitions to win thousands of dollars worth of sand cryptocurrency, but also for publishing later in the metaverse when the metaverse becomes available to all creators for publishing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have questions already live here in the chat over on youtube.com and twitch.tv. If you have questions live, please submit those on those two platforms, YouTube, DLive, Theta, Facebook, twitter.com/thesandboxgame. Join us on twitch.tv or youtube.com for your chance to submit questions live to us. We will answer questions about the asset creation software VoxEdit, questions about the game maker, questions about the metaverse, or anything else that you have questions about, to the extent that we are allowed to under non-disclosure agreement. Got a lot going on. Sneaky Leron says, yo, saw this a while ago. Nice to see. This has been for a couple of days in the Game Maker now. So you may have had your chance to play it, because anybody can play this live in the Sandbox Game Maker gallery. Lucas is right. Has a question live over on twitch.tv saying, why are you two so gosh darn amazing? The answer is just a guy, you know what I mean? Just a person on the internet, just like you. I was once watching a live stream like this on the Sandbox Game official live stream. Now, you could be rated by us at the end of the show if you're creating inside the sandbox or playing in the metaverse, and you're live at the end of the show over on twitch.tv. We like to raid one person in the priority that, if I'm not familiar with your name, I'm more likely to raid you as well. Chat. Mr. Furious X wants to know questions about the origin of the universe. We could go into that. That'd be pretty fun.
Easy.
You know,
42.
It's just an ebb and flow. Yes. 42. 42 is the undeniable answer. All right. There we go.
Right. Lucas is right there with me.
You got a lot.
We did get an early question. We did get an early question there.
What's the early question before we get into some gameplay?
So how about the Sandbox support? How can we get better connected to the support? Where should I go for that? Sure.
So official support, if you have significant technical questions, something like that, maybe you had an issue with an event that didn't meet the expectations that you had, you can submit a ticket over on our official Discord. Should be just below this video, or occasionally it'll get linked in by the Nightbot chatbot over on twitch.tv, and I think YouTube. Can't remember if Nightbot does YouTube. Pretty sure it does.
Yeah.
But the discord.gg link should pop up here in just a bit. If Conrad, you could share that for me as we get into some gameplay here. Not always will you receive a response on that Discord if your question is something that must be elevated to a higher level. If it's a question that is like, hey, I had this very intricate one singular function that I wanted to add to the system. Is it possible, or will it ever be added, or something like that? Typically, Discord Ambassador may not have that full answer, but they'll try to get you the best and most complete answer if it is possible to do so. Jack Venino asks another question that's really good right after that. They said, when will the Sandbox game open to the general public? Thank you for that link. Because they've had some land for a couple of years now. If you are not a big company, can you do anything with your land? And so, Jack, I want to talk about what has been happening in the Sandbox game so far. So to this point, big company or small individual, whether you created something for a game jam and won and you get published in an alpha, or you're Snoop Dogg, right? Those that have been published have actually been published on the Sandbox Games land for the purposes of alpha level testing, really early testing where we want to test new mechanics, new features as we continue to develop and build the platform. And the Sandbox is doing something that a lot of companies won't do typically, right? And that is that we are giving you access to the tools to build before the tools are finished with their design. And that also means that we are developing the infrastructures, the dashboard, meaning the website, all of the pieces that will really make the metaverse come to fruition at the end of the day are being built now. And we're giving you access to those way before what you would call in the games industry a gold release. And typically when you have, a game development platform or an environment development platform like an Unreal Engine or something like that, Unity, right? When you have those platforms being built, they usually don't have public access to beta software, which is kind of technical test software, or alpha software, which is in active development. So we're kind of breaking the mold a little bit in doing that for you, which does sometimes make it seem like that roadmap for when you'll get access to like general polished, finalized publishing can seem like it takes a little bit longer, but that's only because you're here early, right? A typical software like this will have a development roadmap of between 3 to 7 years, sometimes longer, in order to get its version kind of 1.0 out there. And then each one of those subsequent updates that you may see annualized, you don't see typically in a software, you wouldn't see them rolling out as they're developed. And so we're kind of doing that differently as well. Every time we develop a new feature, we sort of bug test that feature, get it worked out, and then immediately push it to the public once we have a reasonable number of tests. And then we'll get feedback from that and reiterate on that. And that's what alpha is, right? It's the constant updating and changing of softwares and then reissuing it. And when we're finished with that alpha, when you go gold, you usually go into beta testing because you said, all my features are done and my software is now going to get glitch sort of patched. And then you go full 1.0 version after that.
And that's all to say with basic video games and video game development, whereas Sandbox also has to tackle the crypto side of things as well as we are pushing forward.
Yeah,
so things are going to change in both directions.
Yeah, and that's 100% that's true because we've innovated in a lot of different ways. Like on the dashboard, we had the leaderboard in the last season as sort of a test. Once again, everything that we sort of do here, because it is the nature of alpha software, is in test version. And we iterate on that. We get the feedback from you in the community, and then we go back and say, did we like that? Are we going to change it, right? But the addition of crypto means that some of those things we're completely innovating on. Like it's never existed before in this capacity or this type. We've had similar things that we've seen out there in the world, but what do you see? What do you see there? One Box T asking a question of you, Conrad, I think.
Yep,
who is a new presenter? No beard. I feel like I know him. All right. Well, so what's the deal? What's going on with the fact that you come out of this live stream and you don't have your face on anymore?
Okay. As Alex kindly said, I always hide my strong jawline, but it's because I grow such a glorious beard, and so on the 1st, I had shaved my face. Sure. This is my 5 o'clock shadow here, and I do lose about 12 years. It's true. Yep. But I will not be shaving for the rest of the year. So Sandbox, take your bets, do whatever you need to, however you do it. You can see me in real time grow a beard. It'll be quite fun to be poked fun of while I have this baby face on. But we do have an actual question here from Amanda Nancy. I'm going to say my man, Nancy. Says, how do you choose which game to play on the live, and how and when can I ask you to play our WMG Game Jam game? Cool.
So the answer is we choose when you ask. We got tweeted on Twitter for this one in particular, the WMG Sandbox Game Music. And then there were a few others that kind of like tag us And usually when I get a tag, I kind of accept that as either you want me to directly play test this, or you want to get kind of the bump, right? And have more people see your product. If you're comfortable with the product and you just want more people to see it, maybe that tag means, hey, show it on the show. Let's see what it's got. Right now, you can also ask in the chat. Just give me the name, the page number, and then it sort of goes in a queue from there. So we have, 3 already right now, maybe 4 that are lined up.
Right.
Maybe we get to all of them today. Maybe we don't. We come back tomorrow. We do the rest. And then again, more of those get queued. Typically, I like to promote that people put these games in here before the Game Jam competitions are done. Because we can give you retroactive feedback, of course. We can say, okay, the Game Jam's coming up and what have you. And then you could take that into your next Game Jam, or you can give me a half-baked, incomplete game. We can play test it and say, this is what I think the direction should be. And there's huge benefits to having us play test these live, because whether you are a top tier developer, somebody who's already, in the Game Maker Fund, or somebody who just started yesterday, typically when you design something as a dev, you don't see the things that a quality assurance tester will see, or you don't see something that just the play style that the general public may have. So we try to bring those to you. Colloquially, I tell people all the time, I play games like I'm 5 years old when I play them here on the stream, because I get to play them in blindly, and I just play the first instinct that comes to mind. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And so we're going to do that here with the WMG Sandbox Music Online. I saw a quick little trailer as part of the tagging on Twitter where this looks like a Dance Dance Revolution sort of a game. But of course, it's played with a keyboard and mouse. So it's going to be... I'm sorry, I'm not going to get infected by the no beard virus. I might trim it up a little bit, but I got to get a new trimmer. That's why it's gone so long. Literally, I've been using the same charge on my trimmer for 2 months because I lost it once I moved. Anyway, I'm going to play some video games.
We got your game on the list now. It'll be added. Anybody else that has a game, you can always add us at RadConDad and the Vision EX over there on Twitter, and we can get your suggestions on what to play. There was a game that I had played as a kid back in 2004 that was exactly this, and I found some great music off of it, and I'm excited to see the direction that the dev took with this one. My only gripe so far, and because we were staring at that screen while it was spinning for so long, was that the bar on the bottom clipped into some of our equalizers. The
equalizer shapes, sure. Yeah. I kind of agree with that.
You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it in game.
Right now I see it slightly in the bottom left, bottom right. I might move those back behind the bar that says song and level. But I like the characters that are dancing on it. And we'll talk a little bit more about what I believe to be the mechanics of this that you cannot see, so that those people who are watching, who are young, hungry developers that want to make something cool like this, can kind of get an idea of what's going on. First thing I want to note is that I also, when playing through these experiences, expect that most people who watch this live stream, whether you watch it live or you watch it later on VOD, are not English first language speakers. Many of you, of course, fluent, to the degree that you are literate and strong with English, but you may make small mistakes. So if I see something that is small that's on the screen, I will point that out. It's not a negative thing. It just helps you get that slight level of refinement before you submit it for that game jam, because we're talking about thousands of dollars in prizes as sand tokens. So you want to, of course, maximize that. So I'll bring up the little things when I see the little things. So the first thing I want to note here, as Conrad has already brought up, that the sort of equalizer, which is like the rainbow-like effects that are popping up at the bottom, are clipping through that wall. It's not a huge deal if you lift them up a little bit, so that you don't see the black wall behind them, or turn them so that you do fully see that black wall behind them. I think that's kind of my preferred way to do it. If you disagree, Conrad, then totally get that. And then here on the screen right away, see hello. The exclamation mark is spaced out away from hello. So you want to, when you close a sentence, that punctuation mark touches the sentence that it closes out. Otherwise, it almost makes me think about like Metal Gear Solid, right? Hello, Division X, welcome to the Sandbox Music Online. Right. So you want to try to avoid that, make them run up to each other. But
good job to the devs for using that function to actually call out your username.
Yes, absolutely.
In this instance.
Absolutely.
And adding some color to what we already have here. You want to turn up the music on this one? Because it is.
Currently it's turned all the way up. But this game is doing something that we'll talk about in the logic here in just a second. Because I pre-played it slightly just to make sure that it worked, completely with my current version of the software. So let's see. There are a few things to remind you before you start, right? There are a few things to remind you before you start. One, do not select the same song twice in a row. I should say row, not roll here. The system needs time to reset. Okay, so that's a good tip because there are certain logics that are in place. So the reason why that's happening, for those of you who are watching, and this is a good tip to leave, is that in order to select a song, it's going to kind of select a song like an old record player or jukebox is going to select a song, where the logic device is going to come over to where the song is, and when it's sitting in front of it, it's going to play that song. So you'll have multiple logic devices that are lined up in a row, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you select song 1, it's going to move this other logic device back there that says the song needs to be selected, move it in front of number 1. And when they're next to each other, it'll play the right song. It won't play the other songs when it's not in front of that. So second, what it's going to do once it places it in front of that, it's going to spawn a sound thing near wherever the character is secretly stuffed and hidden in this level. Because there's a playable character that looks like any one of these little tiny characters that you see on the very bottom bar down here, above the word song or above the level section. So there's a playable character stuffed away in here somewhere that when I move with WASD, I'll be closer to logic devices that are going to allow the arrows at the bottom to trigger. So all of this is sort of happening in the background, but the sound thing needs to get moved by the jukebox-like mechanics to be in front of me so that I hear the song that I pick when I play this, which is really cool, fun, innovative way to do stuff. It says higher combos will result in higher scores. Oh no, I'm dying.
The higher score has killed Joe. He can't do it, chat. He can't do it.
All right, sorry about that. Hit the keyboard hard. This one's actually interesting because you don't need to do that. And I'll explain that in a bit. And then enjoy, of course, you want to have your players. I'm dying. Enjoy your experience. Select your level. So we'll start with easy. Select your music. Music Hub, the Sandbox, Music Hub, Oracles. So these are different audio tracks that you would find when you go to these respective places in the Sandbox Alpha. So these are different soundtracks. If I picked the Sandbox Hub earlier, I think it's a little bit too chill. I want something a little less relaxed. Hopefully the Oracles is going to do that for me. It's super relaxed. It's easy, you know what I mean? Okay. Oh, I missed one right away. Perfect. So ideally, what you're going to do here as a player is you're going to hit the correct arrow when the other arrow goes over it. But one thing that's happening that your player will get used to is that I told you before, the real mechanic when I press WASD is I'm making a character move somewhere inside this, whether it's at the bottom of the screen, behind the screen. I think it's actually inside the screen to give you this depth of field, but the character has to take the time to walk closer to that element. And when it does do so, before the moving arrow gets destroyed at the bottom of the screen, you'll get a perfect. If not, you will fail. So my total score right now...
There's no OKs, right? Or bad.
Right, yeah, there's no average, good, OKs, because that would require a certain level of minutia that I think you could do, but you would end up triggering points twice. So it's just going to work or it's not going to work, right? But it's really nice that, you know, you kind of get in here with the easy or early score rather. I'm getting quite a lot of total score points on the left. It looks like it triggers every time I get 5 points. And then you can see the elements on the left are, because they're real assets, they get destroyed and then spawned with the appropriate asset when I get to certain point markers every 5. But the big number in the center updates regularly. And so what are the advantages and disadvantages of that? If you have the big number in the center update every single time, then... Okay, so I got a total of 180 score. Could have got 185 had I got one more point. But when the big number in the center updates every time and the number on the left doesn't update every time, what you get is a little more optimization in your code or like the way that the logics are working. Downside being I don't have 184 points right now. If I could do that, if I could get 184 points, then I think you're meeting expectations of the consumer a little bit, your player. However, if your player understands how the logic works, maybe there could be an explanation of that, like your total score is the score on the left plus your center score or something like that. Well, no, that doesn't really work. It doesn't really work when you get into like, I'm really good at actually getting a combo. So maybe just a little note that says you, every 5 points, your points will bank or like add to the score or something like that. Really explain to them how your logic is working so that you set the right expectation and you can meet that expectation.
Just generally explaining how the combo system itself works.
Yeah. All right. So let's try a normal one. We're going to go with music electro.
Oh, hey, we got more music here. I do appreciate that the dev has added in these ramping difficulties. It definitely needs to happen in game.
Yeah.
So because you're going to have people of all skill levels.
So we'll talk about one of the downsides to the way this is designed, but also why it is designed that way and why there's not really an alternative in just a second. I'm going to try to do this well. I think this is actually easier when it's faster, personally.
You're not anticipating it. You can just flow.
Oh, I missed one. Oh, I totally just hit the wrong direction entirely. But it's good.
We believe in you.
I'm going to get it. All right, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get that 300 score. And it doesn't appear to be additive. The only way to get the 300 score quest complete looks like by doing a higher difficulty experience. Or a higher difficulty, rather, of song. We'll see how this continues to go as I get into kind of hard mode here. But, I mean, it's fun. It's just fun. It does everything that a rhythm game should do, right? It's the only, like, thing that I'm not noticing, which could be a refinement aspect to this, is that it doesn't really match the song. But also, it doesn't not. Like, it's doing great. That, I mean, this... I got 460 on that. Look at that.
To see the earliest version of this type of game and done well is impressive with the tools that we have.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I haven't yet seen a rhythm game, but we saw the one that was sort of like the walls coming through like a Japanese game show where you had to jump through the very small enclosure with your character. But this is doing a lot of things. So I kind of wish that I could show it on my screen, but let's talk about what the mechanics of the arrows are really quickly for those people who are watching so that they understand sort of what as a player on easy, I actually can almost not have to pay attention. And I'll show you why here. Let's go ahead and do Music Hub, the sandbox. Now, if I'm holding left here, you see how it's triggering? I'm holding right, it's triggering multiple times. You'll get a miss every once in a while, but because I'm just running into those things, you don't actually have to pay attention too much because you're going to continuously trigger the event. And then your character, which you can kind of hear the footsteps constantly going as I'm walking around inside this object, your character is constantly going to be able to trigger these devices on a, it's going to walk forward, presumably get shoved back to center, wherever it is. And what's really happening is that there are proximity-based triggered devices for your character that as you're walking into them, they are doing the little arrow flash there, and then it's getting pushed back to center because it's colliding with another object that doesn't really allow it to stay in that position. And so it's probably, if I was to guess, and maybe I'm wrong, Zummer is an expert on this, but it's very likely that you've got a character that's in the center that is squished between four walls that are angled intensely so that you can only just barely move forward or back or left or right, and then you get shoved back to center by the wall collision itself. It doesn't have to be a wall, of course, it could be anything else, but...
Or he's just forcing a respawn.
Yeah, well, that's true as well, but oh, that's interesting. Yeah, a forced respawn makes sense as well. Actually, probably would be better because you may be able to walk up a wall. That's a good point, Conrad. You may be able to
kind of control it a little bit easier with a forced respawn.
Right. As we're walking too close to that space, you trigger the arrow to spawn while also... Is there a way that we can see a game completion? Because that would tell us if we had any deaths. At this moment, it doesn't look like it.
All right, there's no victory screen.
So, yeah, because we can try this over and over. You just can't play the same song back to back, right? Okay, so let's try.
I was anticipating a victory screen because we have that, the 1, 2, 3 on the right hand side there. That's kind of like the podium of like a victory, right? I don't know why I can't think of the name for that at the moment.
Oh. This is the DDR right here, right? This is the rhythm game. This is the music for that, right? And I think in order to match this, really you just have to understand music, right? If you were to take this song into a beat counter, right, and figure out its beats per minute, you could figure out how to make the arrows fall at the exact pace that you want them to without having to kind of guess. And they'll arrive when you want them to at the bottom. Oh yeah, look at that combo. And in this case, I'm not holding it down because I'm kind of getting better at when do the arrows actually pop up. And holding it down does make it inconsistent for this highest level of play. So, oh, missed that one.
Let's go on Cold Cuts and Cheese. Welcome to the chat.
This is my kind of game right here.
Right. Tony Alieno over on YouTube says, if you play it too long, the asset spawner will crash. I'm curious of how long you were doing this one. And Voxelized over on YouTube. How's it going, friend? There was a rhythm game a while ago, maybe for Level Up Game Jam, that had you slice at color bars, boss fights on an alien spaceship, It was a
Oh,
bit like
that's true.
Galaga mixed
Yeah.
with the DDR.
I remember that one. Yeah. It was like, I guess I didn't really see it as a rhythm game because there was that like, actually your character is standing on the squares. Because I remember they were kind of coming down the row like this here. That might have even been made by Tempest Studios, where they were coming down the row and you just had to stand in the spot as the character. Whereas in this, it hides where you're kind of standing and then in exchange pops out these arrows. So speaker sphere check are hard to rely on. I would agree with that, Tony. I think that's the interesting thing about the way that this has been designed. Because if it is, as Conrad says, where when you walk within the proximity, your character dies and the death timer is set to -2 and respawns just like barely away, right? You're talking about like a margin like this between your character and the sphere of influence. So when you walk into the speaker sphere, you die and you trigger at the same time that arrow coming out. And when that arrow outline comes out, as long as it hits the proximity of the solid arrow, then you would have a success. So there is quite a lot of different logics that are happening to make this possible, but it's really done remarkably well. That was fairly consistent, I would say, with the way that I was playing through that on hard. The only thing that's a real downside to this is that the music dubstep, if I play it back to back, the dev says that it doesn't necessarily work. So with that said, when you get to the end, the last arrows, it would also be possible to have like some sort of object come down, maybe something that says like finish or whatever. A bar comes down that kind of swipes, clears the screen. And then when that reaches the bottom, then there may be a proximity trigger that moves that logic asset back to its 0 point so that you could pick the same game again. Because
to add on to, like what you were just saying about having something swipe, I definitely feel like there is something missing with this experience. And that is a congratulations. It is, you did it, here's your score, maybe even compared to your last score if you can save that data in some way. But just generally like making a spectacle about you playing the experience. Because that victory screen is what we always look for, right?
Yeah, that's actually a fair point. Currently at the top, you've got this is interesting. You have an HP function. What happens if I fail? I really like this song. I should have just done it. Just letting the arrows fall. First off, the HP doesn't trigger failures. Okay. So this is good. I think this is good. All the HP blocks sort of fell through. There's a little bit of grace. You can get a couple of different, when you're playing on hard, a couple different arrows can fly by, and it doesn't really matter, right? It's sort of like a timed reset, like, oops, okay, I can do this more. No score benefit to having HP up at the end. But like, and that's probably an area of opportunity in terms of like bonus points so that you can have that congratulations screen the way that Conrad talked about. So if we get to the end of this before it resets, you want to see like the score kind of blink maybe, or whatever it may be that like celebrates you doing well. You can swipe with that by having like a finish bar or like good job or whatever come down at the end, see your score that has finished, and then possibly if you had the HP, the lives remaining, then you could have those apply bonus points to the score at the end. Right now you have it ticking up in a very consistent way. That would add some complexities to that at a pretty decent clip, a lot of complexity to it, but those are really the only things that are going to take this from what I would say is a top level experience that could possibly win this game jam. I haven't even played any of the other ones. This could possibly win this game jam. To something that is then metaverse ready, because often with these game jams, they're limited. Yeah, go ahead.
This is a strong contender for sure. I am excited to see what everybody else has done. This is now setting a bar for me as far as this game jam goes. And I'm excited to see if there's any more rhythm games. And yes, hello, not Jackie Chan.
The whole chat is just simps. Y'all are simps.
I know, right? Don't worry, chat. I'm not shaving for the rest of the year, so you'll be able to see my beard grow in real time.
In real time. All right. Let's see here. Munkia saying 2 months they played the Sandbox Alpha Season 3. So tired in my brain. Friend, we want to have it be fun. So give your feedback on what we can do to make the Sandbox experience less tiring and more enjoyable on your part. I'm having fun with this game right now. Once again, you can check this out inside the Sandbox Game Maker gallery if you want to play one that's just for fun. See it anytime. All right.
Okay, let's get on to the next one.
You guys are crazy. Y'all are crazy.
Let's get on to the next game here.
All right.
And yes, I do look surprisingly different without a beard. But so Hodel Helen had a question. Can you die and respawn that fast?
Yes. When you use the teleport function in the game maker right now, you do so by walking up to an object that kills you. You don't see it because you set the death animation for your character to a -2 second animation. So instead of going and falling over, they just appear wherever the nearest spawner is. So in that particular instance, the spawner would be at wherever it is, and all of the proximity bubbles to say, do I trigger the up, down, left, right arrow are all like barely around that spawn bubble. So when we move over, you die, you respawn. The question is, with a lower end system, how well does that work? That would be a good thing to have somebody check if you are a developer and you're thinking to yourself that you want to put stuff to the test, because there's a chance that the person from Warner Media that tests this out, Warner Music Group, they may have a lower end PC go in and test this, and then they go like, oh, well, it's a little laggy, right? And so you don't really want to do that ideally, but if you can avoid it, again, it could be really good,
Right.
And respawning is super short time. No big deal. You can respawn basically a billion times in a row.
We have a game on page 13. It'll be right at the bottom center.
Thundercloud?
The Game Jam WMG by Dr. Metaverso here. Thundercloud Floating Stage. We're asked to give this one a playthrough and give our critique. And Dr. Metaverso in the chat over on Twitch says, a question to Joe, will you ever shave your beard like Conrad this year? And what will it take to convince you? Okay,
Dr. Metaverso, what it will take to convince me is, if you are familiar, once a year, every year, when I do this, usually in November, I do a charity live stream and I set certain goals. If the chat can break my all-time record earning for raising money for children's charity, then I'll shave it all off. My wife will hate me.
I'll shave his face. Come on, Joe. It's a good one.
I'd do it on a live show. Why not? Yeah. You know? Yeah, no, I would definitely do that, because let's do it. Raising money for kids, that's great. I can't remember. I think it's $6,904.20 or something like that was my last year before this year that just ended. So if you did better than that as the whole community contributing to the Extra Life charity link that's in my Twitch or Twitter, all that stuff, then yeah, sure, I'd shave it off, because it's going to help kids that have cancer and stuff. So that's great. But nonetheless, let's get into some Sandbox stuff here. A floating social concert hub for concerts.
little redundant there.
Dr. Metaverso, who has joined me in many games of Call of Duty over the last year. A floating social concert hub is going to be for concerts, yes. So, feel free. Feel free to remove that or remove this concert. Pick a concert.
Yeah.
He said, I'm so sorry, I fixed it.
I mean, I would go social hub for concerts.
Not Jackie Chan. Literally, you had Alex Florez doing this. I can't believe I didn't think of it. Over on YouTube.com, they say if anybody has an Alpha sword from Alpha Season number 2 and wants to try my gated experience, it's on page 432 called Must Have Alpha Sword. Was that Season 2 or Season 1? It might have been Season 1. I don't know. I've been around.
Season 2?
I think it's Season 2.
I'm pretty sure that was Season...
I don't remember.
That was Season 1. Right? Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that was Season 1.
Go West says. Yeah. Nonetheless.
Season 2 was chest plate.
Oh, yeah. Season 2, they gave a chest plate.
Shield.
But really... Was it?
I don't know.
No, Season 3 was the chest plate. Shield was Season 2. Yeah. But what is that? What is not Jackie Chan's experience on page 432 called Must Have Alpha Sword? It is a test to show that it is possible to apply NFT gated restrictions to experiences in the gallery in a very specific way.
Right.
But you might want to check it out if you're a dev who's trying to figure out how to get that done. This also allows certain NFT gating to separate areas of your experiences. So go check it out if you're interested in trying to figure out how to do that. Maybe ask them some questions. I remember Alex literally saying, I can't believe I didn't think of that. Because it is...
But there is a way to wish list an item, isn't that right?
There is an exploit right now in the Game Maker gallery where a person could wishlist an item, and because they would have access to it in the gallery, that may be the case. Now, as it goes forward, of course, that's part of, because that's not really the way we're doing NFT gating in the Sandbox game. It shouldn't be really a thing that we interact with too much, but I'm sure it'll get in the near future, that sort of function will get patched out as we get further into the alpha of the software.
Right.
Nonetheless,
okay.
Floating concert social hub. We got one land.
So right off the bat,
yeah.
Just like the other game, while we're waiting and loading in, and we're reading the description of the game, which always pops up at the bottom, you want to set your camera view in a place that is appealing, that shows off what your game is. And that kind of makes it to where you have some expectations going forward rather than just your spawn location where you're going to be. So you could have this screen be off to the side. I've seen a lot of people actually create menus to start off with, with a start option select and then credits, things like that. And then once you hit start, it brings you to the play space.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you're going to see or need to see more. Is not to have the spinning camera, have a fixed camera to start. I don't know why I'm yawning today. This is like literally it's my 5th caffeinated drink. But you should have a screen that showcases who you are, what it is, what are we doing here, what's going on, something there. We'll take it to the next level. The build as I'm here aesthetically, not bad. I don't love I don't love this platform right here because it looks like sort of like Mayan temple sort of asset or something, what have you. Stonework, not great against neon colors is what I'm trying to get at here. I want to see that stonework asset get invisibled, if that makes sense. Turn it off so that I can't see it. Walking up, though, the path.
You can just die. Good to know.
Walking.
Okay, I like these pillars. I don't know, man. I'm indifferent.
The pillars are fine. No issues with the pillars, for sure.
Right. You're just talking about our checkered pattern here, right?
Literally talking just about the circle.
Oh, the respawn circle.
The actual respawn circle doesn't look like the environment around it. It looks like a normal respawn circle, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, we want to make sure, in my opinion, that we have your social hub or whatever it may be, your concert venue should always have a consistent aesthetic theme. But in terms of the bones, the layout looks fine so far.
I'm into it. Yeah.
And when you are in the game's development cycle, especially if this is your first game or your fifth game or what have you, you typically will build your game with just shapes first to say, does it feel right in the overall aesthetic? You're not going into the high level detail of designing assets and designing textures in those assets and then going backwards, because you're wasting a lot of time when you do that. So if you come through here with a bunch of like cylinders and triangles and rectangles and you just lay it out, then you can come back and say, okay, I like the way this laid out. I like the way this lighting kind of hits these different spaces. And then from there, start to replace assets with planned textures, planned assets that have animations and whatnot, rather than having to just jump all the way in. So color-wise, I don't dislike the fact that it's going from red to purple to blue. I think that's a nice transition.
I actually really like this transition. I'm not gonna lie, because it really lays down and it makes your starting zone significant. Which again, you could emphasize that even further by having you start off on a menu and then having that be matching in with your starting zone, and then you go into the actual level, which is these vibrant purples and blues.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Color theory is something that you'd be surprised shows up in gaming quite a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Color theory is pretty much everything when it comes to gaming. If it is to just show, the contrast sometimes can show you where to go. In this case, the transition of color kind of shows that, in my opinion, before I even move, blue is where I want to be, right? I want to get into where people are having fun up there in the blue area. There's probably something cool going on. Let's talk about the text. Dr. Metaverso, as you are a player, but I'm going to restate it here for the people who are new developers who maybe haven't played in the metaverse before. Welcome to the concert, the Vision X. So you have a prompt here that triggers my name that I have in the top left, gets inserted into the text. Good job on that. I like either concert, my name, or do you have your ticket? Depending on the context that we have here. If you're going to have a quest that's about to trigger, that means I have to go get a ticket. If I have to go grab a ticket, then I would highlight the word ticket. If you talk about you have some kind of featured artist or featured music that you have and you want to hype people up about that, highlight the word concert, because most of the people who are playing in the metaverse literally are not paying attention. They do not care about your quest. They are playing and earning and rushing through as fast as possible, right? And it doesn't matter
in general, really.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. Because I'm seeing it all the time. I see PandaPops, who very highly loves to play your games, creates on this show on Mondays, does not read the text. They just go, okay, yeah, E to push through it. Excuse me. So if you want your gamer to have to read, then so that they, if there's an important narrative beat to hit here, then highlight the thing just in case they go through it quickly. And then
so you can at least skim through it and notice, the details you're supposed to have.
Yeah. Right. And then on another angle as well, you can have more than one answer on text prompts so that the left side is the thing that's highlighted by default. So if you want them to be forced to read, then you could put on the left side a thing that restarts the conversation. And on the right side, it's actually the way that you need to answer it.
Right. You put them in a talking loop and make them suffer for pressing E over and over again.
Yeah. And it's just a way to get them to actually pay attention to the narrative. Hi there, I'm a crew member that was called in last minute to cover a sick colleague. Security guard, go ahead. The stage manager is at the loading dock.
Okay.
Sorry.
And to answer our Wheels question, or my friend, I call him our Weasel, they asked how many Game Jam games we'll be going through today. This is probably the last Game Jam game we'll be doing because we also want to play Hoverboard Hero by Fred and Ferg. But it is all dependent on how much time we have left because we want to give each game at least a good old try, and give it some love and actually check it out. If not, if your game does not show up on the list today, don't worry. Be going through it on the next show. So was that Dr. Metaverso right there?
It was.
Did I just see that?
But what it wasn't is the stage manager. So we got a couple of people here that have some conversation to be had. The stage manager is up behind the stage, must not be the DJ. Now it's kind of popped up as I go off here to the right.
Hoverboard looks Hero like is a Game Jam game as well. Okay, I didn't realize.
Met the stage manager. I've got some boxes that seem to pop up their little text. That's okay, or like their proximity. Hi, the Vision X. Oh, hello, the Vision X. Thank you for arriving on such short notice. I need you to do several tasks around the concert stage. Go around and help the staff, and if you complete all the tasks, you will be able to play. We'll be able to enjoy the concert for the rest of the evening.
Before you go on here,
yes.
So this paragraph here, because it's two separate notions of information, I would actually separate this into two different text bubbles. Thank you for arriving for such no notice. I need to do several tasks for me around the concert stage. Next part of the conversation.
Button to push it so that it goes to the next. Yeah.
And then it's go and do the quest, right? So here's the quest information, introduction, quest information, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, because on the first one, it could be the narrative beats. On the second one, again, we want to highlight the activity. Yeah. Help the staff, right? That needs to be yellow on the second frame as we go through the text here. So the help the staff, that's what we're here for. Because again, some people are just going to prefer to smash through it. And those people who do prefer that still need to be able to read it, even if it is that quick. That's all I can see of it. And let's go forward. So,
right.
All right.
But to even get to this quest, our player wasn't guided very well. So 100%. It's in a really weird portion of the corner, which was difficult to notice. So if you had an NPC, maybe one of those guards be like, oh no, you're going the wrong way, it's that way, and just kind of points in a direction, or has an animation that's repeatedly shoving them in a direction, or even quite literally an arrow to say you need to go this direction. I don't like the giant arrows, but sometimes they're necessary. Sometimes you have to do a huge highlighted thing, which I see that you've done the ambience all over the place here, which I believe on that dance floor, Dr. Metaverse said there's various music that can play.
I think you've got something interesting. The security guard here could say simply on the right, or like go to the right to talk to the, or as you said, there can be certain highlights. And we're getting some proximity based musics on the dance floor, so that's good. They sort of go away as I get. Ironic. I'm going to say this is ironic.
No DJ music doesn't have anything.
Yeah, no music actually on the stage.
Right.
The proximity is only when I'm in the center of the dance floor, which is okay, but big speakers, right? Big speakers. So let's make sure that those have audio coming out of them, only because, we're kind of nitpicking a little bit here, but that's kind of the point. Right. If you want it to be immersive, then this is the loudest point for the audio. And again, the stage manager thing on the side, this guy right here could be telling me his stage manager's right back there. On the actually other side,
start the quest. Start the quest with that gentleman.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like if it is,
because right off the bat you have this security guard who's giving you said information, and then boom, he's like, "Hey, go head off and into the back," and then you have another explanation point over there that will catch your eye. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So you get that. Okay, complete all 4 tasks around the concert experience. Once complete, you can enjoy the concert. So the stage manager has done, and just as a meme, this is like a character asset that is me.
I like it.
Joe.
I didn't notice it at first.
Stage manager Joe, you've done a terrible job of telling me where these 4 tasks are. I assume, based on I'm seeing a little highlighting here, we've got, oh no, I can only request new cases. So I don't know where the tasks are.
So now we have to go wander.
Right. So yeah.
The only time that you want your person to wander, it is once they've gotten the lay of the land, right? So I always say fetch quests are not a good thing unless you are trying to have your player explore and learn where your places are, who your narrative characters are, and just in general, right? So if the stage manager said, hey, go off in this direction, go get your first task. If you want, head off, like do them in any order, just some information, right?
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be a thing. Like, the names of the characters, right? Because you've set those names. I think I can assume where they're all going to generally be because they're going to be somewhere over here. But
turn around. Go back to the stage manager Joe here.
All right.
There is a door right there.
Oh yeah. Jim.
Okay.
He's dead, Jim.
Yeah.
I literally.
So yeah, as Dr. Metaverse said, go inside the backstage from both sides. I had no idea this was here.
Okay. Yeah. And this comes down to asset design, right? The stage manager says, go grab some quests. This is gray on gray in a sea of bright lights and pretty colors. And it is your goal to go in here. So one way that you could highlight this is to, you see how you've sort of made this roll up? If I could zoom in on it a bit. You've made it kind of roll up, but you've made it roll up with dark gray straps.
As Hodel Hill says, entrance sign, anything, employees only, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's putting a light here that's, bringing some attention to it. It's wrapping up the tent-like door with yellow line instead of this dark gray line. It's anything that kind of says this is different and catches your eye as you go through it. Now, stage manager Joe can still say in the tent right behind you and kind of do the same thing if I'm actually reading. But you want to cater to both parts. You want to cater to the people who are reading, and you want to hit a little bit for the people who aren't reading by having a couple visual indicators. So if I've got a light here, as I turn around, I go the light is there. You can see the shift schedule UI is in my way already. So I've got a light there. I've got some yellow stripes, and I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, we're going in here.
I can tell you right now, if this was set up how it is, ADHD Holly, my significant other, would have never gone in there.
Yeah.
But as soon as you put an ooh shiny above it, she will go there by instinct without reading anything.
Yeah, and another way. Here's another way. This is a concert. This is a concert with deep bass. So if I've got a light up here and I've got the yellow stripes that are holding up the door, but then on the ground here, I've got 2 emissive light type. This is where it's going to glow like neon. Glow sticks that are crossed on the ground right there. Glow sticks.
Oh yeah, glow stick pathing, that kind of thing.
Just what are glow sticks for? It's your little floating fairy, right? It's your fireflies that bring your attention to this thing. So we've got some glow sticks on the ground. Of course you're gonna have glow sticks on the ground at a concert, It's going wild out here. So now I come inside. He's dead, Jim. Jim's got a quest for me. I know I can do Jim's quest. Hello. I'm glad you're here to help the crew. Can you please bring in the 5 equipment flight cases from the loading dock? Yes. Okay. Cool. We've got a visual indicator that showed right here.
And now I got to highlight a comment from Not Jackie Chan over on YouTube. I'm always thinking in defense of the creator. It's my duty to push back against your guys' criticism. We always take in consideration and like to remind folks that this is done for a game jam, this one specifically, right? So these are creators making these in a crunch from scratch. This is a beautiful layout, I have to say, and I really love the color and art direction. So we are trying to, what our criticisms are is just trying to push a game from where it's at now to that next level.
Yeah. And again, to that point that, we're not trying to criticize for the sake of criticism. We're criticizing for the sake of helping you make a higher quality product so that when you publish these games into the game jams, or you publish this experience into the metaverse, you're maximizing your potential for earning. It's our way of kind of saying, like, this is good, this is bad, but our opinion at the end of the day doesn't matter at all. You're the developer and you can do literally anything that you want. Your direction is often, the best direction. Dr. Metaverso got here on their own without any input. Now, as we play through these experiences and we think,
he got here with A's and Jazz Wolf, I believe.
Sure.
I think there was Sparky on the team as well. So
Okay. Obviously, yeah. The team that built this experience got there without our input. Now we'll give the input that we have, and you could take it for what it is. If you completely disagree with that, that's fine. But when you're a dev and you're making your experience, one of the things that I highlighted at the very beginning was that you often don't think about the fact that this doorway isn't obvious, because you already know where you put your characters. You know where the next 4 quests are. So as a dev, you're not going to think about, I missed this little user experience gesture.
We know, Not Jackie Chan. We know. But we definitely like to highlight this often for those who aren't regular watchers that might go, wow, these guys are tearing apart this game right now. Maybe I don't want to have mine played right now.
But we want to do that. We want to give constructive criticism while we're on the show, always with a positive note. Again, when I read through something, if I see that it has a small grammatical error, sometimes it's literally just a difference of like, what part of English are we coming from? Because sometimes I've said something and then somebody's been like, no. Like, color is spelt with a U where I'm from. That's fine, right? That's normal. Right. But there are definitely, little things that, I know like 99% of my friends don't have as much of a grammar nerd problem as I have, right? And so I'll see little things come through. My wife, who nearly has a master's degree, every once in a while she'll have written something and I'm like, no, that's not right. Like, you want to rewrite that like this way.
As a teacher as well.
Yeah, she's a teacher, right? Everybody has flaws. And so we'll try to be helpful with these things, not harmful. And once again, as a dev, you have the right to decide. I totally disagree with Joe. Get out of here, Joe. That's all.
Jackie Chan says, Joseph has crushed my dreams a few times and has only made me grow stronger.
Big old happy face at the end of that. There we go. Yep.
Yeah. But we do have a question not relevant to this. Ilanis over on Twitch, hopefully I said your name right. I have a question. Why can't I access to the game or webpage from Venezuela?
So actually, it's not just isolated to Venezuela. There was a small issue the other day. I don't know if it still persists. Maybe it was just yesterday. Yeah, it was just yesterday about noon my time, which was like an hour in the 23 hours ago or so. One of our guys from Arizona was reporting that there was an issue. Another person in Texas confirmed it, that it was just like the content deployment network that we were using was saying that there was an excessive number of requests from that area or something like that. And so there was a quick error that flagged on the website. It ended up getting solved in a relatively short order. But if you're still seeing those issues, maybe try to use a VPN to connect. A VPN is where you connect to a remote and then from there it connects to your endpoint. So you could say you're like in Los Angeles, and it'll go from the Sandbox server to Los Angeles to you, and then in reverse of that order. And that helps if you're having those connectivity issues there.
We did notice that we were in talk shows and podcasts again.
Sometimes it just breaks, and the only person who can fix it is, I think, Alex, to manually rechange it back, because the service that we use, the Restream.io, defaults us into talk shows and podcasts because it doesn't have the Sandbox indexed in its website. So, unfortunately, it defaults us into that box. All right, one of the guests ordered this drink, but I forget who. I believe they went to the dance.
What am I about to throw into the chat? Because we are technically running out of time. True. It started a little late, but
we're going a little long from our normal.
Right.
All right.
What am I throwing in the chat here?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a link going into the chat right now. Forums.gle link starts with UPGFFY. This is over on twitch.tv and youtube.com/thesandboxgame. If you fill out this form, you have a chance to win a Wizzy-themed NFT here on this show. These NFTs are limited in quantity to 200 that will ever exist and are only given out on this show. They have been for a number of years. Once these run out, Alex Florez, the artist who created the Wizzy assets, created the Care Bears assets that you have used, not the avatars, but the core assets, the Smurfs themselves, the core designs for those designed by that lead artist. He created them. He's distributing those. So this is your chance right now. Jazzwolf over on twitch.tv is also always very helpful to relink those intermittently as well, for as long as the form is still open. We usually keep those open for about 5 minutes or so, and then close those down. Ali Rafael says, we're forced to use VPN. I'm sorry about that. I haven't seen that be universal, but if that continues to be the case, could you be so helpful as to report it over there on the Discord for your region? Not today, but if that's the case in a couple of days, then let me know. Jazzwolf, I don't have the number off the top of my head for how many hats are left. For that, it would take a little while.
Something like that?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably close. 70-ish.
I can find out while you're playing here.
Okay, thank you. All right, can you take it with you and give it to them? Okay, so we've got the drink. You can pick up the drink. We've lost the order. Oh my gosh. Somebody, who wants this drink? Whose drink is this? This is somebody's drink. Oh, it's your drink. You just took it out of my hands. Okay, so one thing I noticed here is as I've been doing these quests, I am seeing damage happening to each one of those assets. 999 damage is applied to the asset. I don't believe I've seen an update that requires those numbers to pop up. If I'm wrong about that, my bad. But I want to try to avoid having those numbers pop up because they just kind of take you out of the element. What the heck is this? Is this an NFT you own?
That's Cold Cuts and Cheese done by Half Dork.
Oh.
At least I'm pretty certain that's Cold Cuts and Cheese.
It's got one of your secret little Easter eggs here. You're like, I developed this game.
It's Sparky. Okay, I had it wrong. My
Sparky.
bad.
All right, I called myself in from different metaverses to help myself out with multimedia tasks. Dr. Metaverso. I mean, it's meta.
Like
it's meta.
Yeah.
It appears they're having fun around the concert instead. Can you please find them and report their locations back to me? All right.
I remember what the Cold Cuts and Cheese one looks like now. That is
Metaverso.
Yeah, April Lasagna. Sparky.
Right, Dr. Metaverso. That's not you. Are we up top here?
I like these wrapping stairs. Oh, they're keys. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do. And I like the fact that I just was able to climb up those with a relative ease. I'm going to talk to the DJ VV. The Vision X looks like the crew has forgotten to bring me the music reel for tonight's show. I believe it's in the media room behind the stage. Can you bring it to me? Yes. Can do.
Also, there are 72 hats remaining.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, so small thing, not a huge deal, but I want to walk off this side. Oh, and also,
That thing's poking up.
we don't need. Oh, yeah. I want to say don't make it poke up or make it climbable as we walk up these little. Yeah, this has collision on and I'm getting stuck on it. I want to avoid getting stuck by putting an invisible platform that has a slight slope there. And then let me see if I can completely break this. Oh, almost slid off. It's probably exploitable. Not in a really a bad way, I guess. It doesn't really matter, but look for that. Okay, so we need the music off of the back of the stage. Is there a way to get in both sides? There are. Okay, music reel. So because I can't travel both ways up, again, I was kind of inclined to go to the right there to come up. Not a huge deal, but just an automatic sort of, I want to see a little symmetry there. Uh-oh. Is that me? Hello? I think Conrad's stuff is broken. Yeah, it's very broken. His camera's broken. His audio's broken. Go ahead and restart your system, Conrad, because it's real wild right now. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay, let me just go ahead and turn that off. I think he disconnected just to show me that he's super broken. All right, I'm going to uncheck his box here real quick, and I'll get the chat back up here. Whew, got sucked into the TV for sure. Yeah, that broke real good for him. All right. Dr. Metaverse's doppelgangers. Hey! Wait. Thank you, Dr. M3. Okay, well, I got one of them.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Alrighty. That was odd.
Can I see you?
I'm going to try and reconnect now. Thank you for bearing with us as we do it live, chat.
You make me want to say the thing. Don't say the thing.
There we go. Should be good now.
All right. We get you back up on here. I see you. You looking good, feeling good. Click. There we go.
I promise you, chat, that was not a filter. That was what my camera looks like when it's dying, apparently.
It's like, hey. All right. Whoa. CRTV. What's this?
Oh, wait a second. VIP. Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, but yeah, back to the game here. We gotta.
Yeah.
It's called Flying with Style, or Dying with Style, as CCNC says.
Okay, so the flying saucer just took me to nowhere for no reason. It doesn't have to be active yet, but it is. Oh, hey.
So we gotta remember that.
Okay. How many? There were 4
Wait
of
a
them?
second.
What?
I like the idea that there's more than one Dr. Metaverse, though.
They have different numbers.
It's hilarious. But there's only 3, he says. But we were able to go down into that VIP area without having our narrative access, right?
That's correct.
Now, that's something I would want to change up.
Okay. There were 3 different Dr. Metaverses. There was no clear indicator as to whether I completed finding them, because there was the question of how many are there. So the first time I go around and I explore the whole world, I keep exploring. My instinct was to keep going for more until Conrad said out loud, there are only 3 of them. So if you know that there are only 3 of them, and you want to tell me in the chat that there's only 3 of them, how do we convey that there are only 3 of them without me getting stuck in this infinite searching loop, right? Because you told me in the chat because you knew that I would probably continue to go search for them. So I would say eliminate the question that says how many Dr. Metaversos are there, and just make it so that maybe there's not any visual indicators, but when you find number 1, 2, and 3, there should be 3 different sort of.
Use it as
not
a,
even.
a person of interest quest, right?
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, there should be logic events that get triggered and destroyed, so that asset 1, 2, and 3 logic triggers that are buried underground get destroyed. And the 4th one, when it is isolated and alone, says, boop, text box, congratulations. You found all of these, or triggers the new quest above Dr. Metaverso's head again. Whatever it may be, some sort of visual indicator needs to come up once you've talked to all 3 of them to say, yeah, you did it right. That way you don't have to tell me in the chat, right? But where did you find Dr. M1? So this I like.
They do.
Did I remember their names?
We do have highlighted things with colors here, which it shows me that you already had, your team already had intentions on doing that and just didn't use it elsewhere. So, and then unfortunately you got the right or the wrong answer and you went past it very quickly. But I was still able to catch that because you would put it in red, it was highlighted. So just by skimming through Joe's choices here, I was able to catch that. That's how powerful, highlighting something like that is.
Okay. Yes. 3. Music bar.
And I do like the idea from Sparky Snickle that the VIP section should be gated by an NFT in the future.
Did I find number 1 at the music bar?
I only got to see number 2.
Okay. I actually don't think that I found number 1 at the music bar, or I wouldn't have called that the music bar. Because
number
the
2
music
was at the VIP entrance.
Yeah, number 2 was at the VIP entrance for sure, because it's on the right side by where the car is. But number 1, the music bar actually would have been where that gingerbread man was, whatever its name was, on the left side from this perspective, right side of the dance floor from the original entrance, not the one that's upstairs. I would call that thing the music bar. So I got a bit confused by that, and I called it VIP dance floor up top. But maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I don't remember number 1 being at the music bar. Yeah, they were. They were there. But I don't remember number 1. So as I'm talking out my buns here, and I'm completely wrong about where 1, 2, and 3 are, maybe in their text chat, you need to highlight more who they are. Hey, how's it going? I'm Metaverso from Dimension 1, and their name can be Dr. M1 in the thing. I'm Metaverso from Metaverse number 2. And now we know Dr. M2.
I like the idea of using these characters as, semi shameless advertisements, right? I'm the Dr. Metaverso from the WMG Game Jam entry that we had. Go check that out. You might see me pop there, and then give them a little
absolutely.
Quirk or
you
something
totally
like
could.
That.
Totally could do that. If you want to sort of expand your options in the metaverse, then you could have it say, again, Dr. Metaverso 1. Their title, their name says Dr. Metaverso 1. That's in the white bar here at the top. And then the alternative being in their text chat. Hi, I'm Dr. Metaverso 1. I'm coming over from the WMG Game Jam experience. Hey, congratulations on finding me. I'm going to go back and dance on the VIP floor. Whatever, right? And, some nice something. Most people aren't going to read that. Most people are going to skip it, maybe. But at least you give the right clues, the context clues, so that I can remember as the 5-year-old that I am, where they were, what their name was when they were there, and it's highlighted. And again, as Conrad said, you can do this shameless self-promotion without it feeling like a shameless self-promotion. If people like this narrative, now they're going to know where to go.
And you should always be inserting somewhere credits to your team, to yourself, to your other work, somewhere that your people can be found, right? Like, because you don't want this to be something that is isolated if it's if it's excellent, right? And so far, I love what I'm seeing here with the art direction. There's, of course, as we've done some minor critique here with the narrative and the quest design, but I still want to see more, right? So if I get through the completion of the game, or maybe I even find an area on the map, I would like to see, nods to the creators, or maybe your Twitter page or a Discord, something like that. Whatever there may be that gets me to be led on the trail to be more invested into your work.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, those sorts of things can be insignificant. You can make them sort of insignificant in your world, but you can also make it, 1 out of every 1,000 people who goes to your experience is probably going to get in and actually get into your Discord server or whatever it may be out of that. But that's one more, right? That's one more you didn't have. And Mr. Furious X has a pretty good suggestion too, saying they could have traits in the text that says, I'm the doctor that likes martinis. Well, that's why the doctor's at the bar. So you can give them a good, when you think about it for more than a quarter of a second, like Joe is doing.
Drunkard.
Yeah, right. Whatever gets you.
I'm the 3 a.m. Dr. Metaverse.
Yeah, and the escape room artist kind of having a different perspective, but saying, what is your thought on forcing people to read? Maybe at the beginning, to warn those that you need to read. I think at the end of the day, it's a different mindset that you have to have, because
I don't like the idea of a warning, because that would instantly turn off 90% of your player base.
Right. If it's warning, you must read to do this experience. Realistically, they don't need to read. And if they are turned off by the idea of reading, then they're not even going to give it the chance to come in and go and spam that E key. Now, I don't want to see a game designed where you have to spam the E key, because then you're just wasting so much time in the narrative design aspects. So you want to make it so that a player is not necessarily forced to read, but when you don't have the ability to have voice acted roles, performances that are happening in these experiences yet, you're going to need to design your experience so that it highlights and that people read, right? We have coming down the pipeline shortly, the video inserts, audio, complex audio inserts. But if you're not doing those, then people are going to have to read. You know what I mean? Like you can't, and you have to design in mind that people might actually read, because you can't just have it be a series of walk up, click, walk over, click, walk over, click. That's not a role playing game.
There are a lot of games that don't have, even their tutorials through, read instructions, right? You can teach a player to do anything with the correct guidance and the correct difficulty ramp. But you can also do that with narrative as well. You can get the player invested in small inserts, in small narrative beats that makes them want to read the paragraph that's upcoming.
Right.
You don't have to look at it like it's a slog.
And the interesting thing is, PandaPops and I, it's been a long time, but mid-season, I think, on season 3, we actually did a stream like this where we read out loud the experience and the narrative, and we went back and forth from one character to the other on who's reading what role and whatnot. And it ended up being fun and funny and good, because it was well written. And, it's not going to be everybody's jam. But at the same time, you could do things that make it easier for those people who don't care, like what Not Jackie Chan is kind of doing. And they're doing in brackets, color equals green, text goes here, close color in the next brackets. So all the text in the middle of those brackets is now going to be green color. And that's a way of making it so that when you go right through you're just pressing E a bunch, you can avoid that. Now, let's get back on to kind of what I'm seeing in front of me. I finished this quest just now. And I'm coming back to the stage manager and I'm seeing that the quest is available to take again, or it appears to be so. When I push it, of course, I don't start the new quest, but I do hear the sound that I started the new quest, and no quest opens, but I can still continue to start that quest. So you're going to want to make sure that after the quest is completed, the asset object that's under my feet of the character isn't there anymore to be able to turn on. So we can avoid the ability to retake that quest over and over. Not a huge deal. Now I've done all of the functions that I know of, that I have seen in the space. And at this point, I'm supposed to, according to the stage manager, once I've done the quest, I can get onto the dance floor. I can enjoy my time here at the concert, right? So if I'm here now and I'm enjoying my time at the concert, what's up, PandaPops in the chat? I was just talking about how we read through that wonderful narrative.
Missing Parts Chapter 2.
Missing Parts Chapter 2, thank you. Yes. But having those voice acted performances can kind of change the game there. But, for now, what is the value of drawing a narrative, writing it all out, kind of having these little beats? I guess I want to kind of get into that a little bit more too, because I can understand the perspective of kind of not wanting that, but at its core gameplay, some of the best games that have ever been made will go back and forth from a strong narrative beat to action gameplay. If you are that kind of person who has a kind of like, not to a negative effect, but just to a realistic effect, attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? You want to see action beats and you want to see narrative beats go back to back. Typically, I like to see a narrative beat that's 30 seconds with 60 seconds of action happening after. So short narrative beats, short functions, short narrative beats, short functions. Not start this quest moving from here to there, shuffling from here to there, shouldn't take 5 minutes after you get a 30-second narrative beat. I want to see a lot of different and varied action there, with the exception of like a boss fight or something like that might have its own varied actions inside those spaces. That's a way where you can mix up narrative without it being a slog. Right.
And, well, on a different note here, Joe. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, so I want to get back to what I know about the game right now. And what I know about this game right now is the stage manager said after I do these 4 quests, I can go enjoy the dance floor. So I've got the 4 quests done and no direction, no victory, and no celebration. So I think one way that we can improve the end of this, if this is indeed the end, which I'm not sure that it is, I would like to see text bubbles pop up over each one of these characters now that I am here, right? I want to see V, Panda, Alex, Lucas, Conrad. I want to see that they are hype. This gingerbread boy right here, I want to see them excited. Oh, you're finally here on the dance floor. Let's party, whatever it's going to be. I love this song. Those little things need to be popping up over these people as we get in proximity to them.
Triggering fireworks, whatever you need to do, like make it a more of a party than it already was.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because you can get out here, you can enjoy the music, you can do whatever. But if I'm in the space and I'm breakdancing, I want everybody to be like, woo, you did it. Woo, I did great. Final quest to show your moves on the dance floor. That's a huge point I think Mr. Furious is making in the chat. Metaverse, so you see it. And that is to come here to talk to these people, not necessarily talk to them, but just activate them. see their
Right.
text kind of come up. And as we get in proximity on the dance floor, literally maybe have these people say, I want to see you dance. You're doing this dance, and there's a logic beat that's happening under the dance floor, which is a literal timer that's about to trigger victory, but hasn't yet. It could be a very slow-moving asset that goes from here to there. Once you've completed the main quest, you get in the middle of the dance floor, this thing starts to move, and then, boop, yay, you won! You know, then we're breakdancing, and you get the victory for breakdancing. You know, you can allow that kind of space. Another thing that I would consider to be a miss, not a huge miss, but a small miss for me on this, is that we do have the valet agent. It's dangerous to go down without proper training. Cool. Like, this whole thing got designed, probably hit the cutting room floor based on time, but these VIP vehicles seem like a miss for me because this thing is here and it's kind of useless. But again, maybe you had plans for this and it just didn't make it within the time allotted, whatever it may be. That's kind of where planning and preparation sort of comes in. And you'll get to know this more as you continue to make experiences longer. Things that are important to the narrative.
Marky does pointed out that you can't have victories in social hubs, as this is intended to be a social hub.
Sure, and that's true. You cannot have a victory in a social hub. So that's kind of where the victory can come from, what Conrad was talking about, which is assets. Well, yeah, you won't be able to have asset spawners either. Proximity-based triggers that are related to those quests. I'm trying to think. We're not that far off from all the things that I have mentioned being possible. Let me put it that way. Otherwise, yeah, if it's a multiplayer experience and meant to be a multiplayer experience and people can do these quests inside the multiplayer experience, you probably won't be able to get people. I would still leave the people being able to be hype. A victory trigger still wouldn't be done in a social hub. But yeah, I mean, overall, if it is designed to be a social hub, then that's its own, angle. Definitely.
I like the direction here. In so many ways. Jazzwolf says Lululand had fireworks to trigger in a social hub. So
okay, that's good. Yeah. Stage pyrotechnics. Yeah, for sure. Like whatever functions. I'm just trying to, I have 0.8 like installed in the back end right now.
So before we move on here, Joe.
All right, what do you got?
And let's go ahead and we'll spend our last 15 minutes here taking a sneak peek at the Hoverboard Hero, or rather our negative hour. And I'm going to go ahead and give off our winner for the Wizzy purple hat. And I had asked everybody in the chat what they're planning on doing in 2023. And our winner over on youtube.com, hopefully I said your name right, Yale, Yael. You are the winner. And
I recognize that name.
Their response was, guess what? Being a better person. And this is a wonderful time for me to remind everybody here that it is okay to not be okay. Don't hold yourself to unreasonable standards, but there's always tomorrow. You got this. You're going to wake up for it. I know you will. Just simply being able to get up is hard enough for some of us. And sometimes I myself don't even want to roll out of bed, but you got
this.
Today's
a day. Today's another day. You know what I mean? Today's another day.
Right.
Yale.
I want to see you pop back on over. Here. Congratulations, Yale. You got it. Now, I'm pretty excited to see this Hoverboard Hero.
All right. Let's see what this is about. If we don't get fully through it, we'll replay it again on tomorrow's show. Follow the journey of a young musician named Dux as he works to become a world-renowned rock star.
This will probably be the last one of today, though tomorrow we'll be getting through more, and I'm pretty certain yours is first on the list for the next one if we don't get through this one all today. Now, Our friend Dr. Metaverse says, thank you very much, Joe and Conrad, for playing the game and providing valuable feedback. Also, thank you, chat, for your comments. Without this great community, we would have never reached to this level. Love to see it.
Okay. So there's some interesting things happening here that I already want to point out.
I got you.
It looks like they've created, maybe they haven't created it. Maybe it's just a UI element that exists now that I didn't notice exists before. But you see this floating talking head above these characters that I can talk to?
Wait a second, what?
Yeah, the little speech people, the little white floating icon. I have not seen this as a feature. Little emoji here. Hey ducks, have you seen 12 pieces of equipment scattered around the map? If you accept a quest, you'll get indicators to help you find them.
Little speech peoples.
Little speech people. Complete the set. Ducks, we need to talk. That never ends well, chat. You're getting close to going diamond with your record sales, but you're going to have to step up your game if you want to get there. All right? It's the ultimate goal for any musician, but you're not going to achieve it by sitting around and waiting for things to happen. You're going to have to work your tail off and overcome some challenges along the way. You better, because if you don't, you can forget about being a music superstar. First of all, if you're close to diamond on your record, you probably have a double platinum, and if that's the case, you're kind of a big deal already. You're replaceable, Ducks. Don't forget it. Listen, drop this guy like a bad habit, all right? This agent sucks. I'm out.
I'm in the world where wherever this is at, you know, every other person over here in the metaverse is already double platinum.
Yeah.
And there's just so many people that, you know, you can get to that level so easily, right?
If I've gone gold, I'm a winner. All right. You get any kind of a specific, Joe, like hang it on the wall. All right. Hang it on the wall with that gold record. You gotta win in your life. This guy's like, you're not. Oh,
you're a champion.
You're not.
But are you a legend?
Oh, you haven't surpassed Michael Jackson in record sales. You're a piece of crap. That's what this guy just said. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's pretty ridiculous.
Like, get another agent. Get somebody with a little positive motivation instead of this negativity in here, okay?
I don't know. I like his style.
I hate it. Thanks.
He gets right to the point.
Here to help you collect records and go down.
So real quick, I like our little speech people, as Joe called it, but it's kind of a hard shape to recognize right off the bat. I would just use like a chat bubble, right? To indicate that you can talk to these folks, because that's fairly universal. I mean, a person's head is fairly universal as well, but from a distance here, and I have a smaller screen than what all of you are looking at, so it's kind of hard to make out, right? So if somebody were to just glance at it, they might not recognize that is a person to talk to, but you give them a chat bubble or something to indicate that, or a question mark, exclamation point, anything that's not quest related. It'd probably be suit you a little bit better.
Sure. All right. I'll also be teaching you all the game mechanics. This little pink bowed elephant. Oh yeah,
Missy
Elephant is just Missy Elephant's gruff out here. Last also. Wait.
They've been smoking for 30 years, and Missy Elephant.
And last comma space, not last also. I have this pocket portal that lets me be anywhere at any time, including barely off to the right at the exact same time. Oh, good to know. Nice to meet you, Missy. Okay. Okay,
so right there, Joe.
Let's talk
Joe
about
said it
the
in
portals.
the voice. Joe said it in the voice. But yes, it did say last also. So I would go lastly, comma, or also, comma. Pick one or the other, right?
Why is Missy's voice so deep, says Hodel Hill? I don't know. She suddenly transformed into a 30-year-old smoker.
Yeah, she's been...
And by 30-year-old, I mean been smoking for 30 years. It's bad for you. Don't do it.
You can smoke a lot of cigarettes with that trunk, all at the same time.
There are 4 different vinyls levels: vinyl, golden, platinum, and diamond. You missed the double platinum. The other portals will unlock as you collect more records. Got it. Each level has its own unique challenges and rewards. The vinyl level is a starting point, and it's a good place to get a feel for the game and practice your skills. Thanks, Missy Elephant.
I just want to say Missy Elliott. Whoa. How did we get out here?
I just walked through the wall with these arrows that were pointing us in the right way to go.
So I appreciate the arrows, quite literally telling us where to go.
But there's no door.
But there's no door.
Hey, the door's non-existent.
The door's non-existent. I mean, I guess it kind of fits the theme to the whole building itself. I don't know.
Where's the door?
I don't know how to feel about that one. Let's see the main gameplay loop here.
Yeah.
Let's get a sneak peek at it.
I don't love the arrows pointing me where to go. I mean, I don't hate it, but
I like the floor having a direction inside the building, but now that you have all of these other aspects saying, here's a giant glowing circle, go here, you probably don't need the rest of it.
Yeah. And critically, I went in the giant glowing circle. Oh, it kills you both ways. All right. But now it doesn't tell me that it'll go down. So I went into the giant glowing circle. I went up. It's way too big around, in my opinion. It could be a very small animated thing instead of this giant actual like space elevator portal thing that you've got going on. It could be a very small circle that's like, go here, push E to interact and teleport on command instead of always being active and based on proximity. Yeah. And then the respawn point going down doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, because up or down, why am I not spawning inside this weird portal thing if it's going to be on the top and the bottom? I see it as more of a transit system.
So Sparky in the chat pointed out that your voice was Roz from Monster Z, and I'm totally with it.
Yeah.
Like
oh no.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always
I'm watching you, Wazowski.
Always.
I'm gonna grab.
We are available for hire.
Vinyl records. I literally. Voice acting is fun.
It is a ton of fun.
Dungeons and Dragons, where we voice act. This isn't really all that far from the character I play on Half Dork's stream.
Oh, I like that little emoji there.
Yeah. Why is this person into me as a cat? What are you doing over there?
Okay, so Fred and Ferd says you stopped listening to the arrows. So apparently we're going the wrong way.
Why would I listen to the arrows when there are records to collect?
So something that we didn't really check out was the splash art that they had done for this game. I got to see it on Twitter. It is very cool, and Roxy also linked me the trailer for it that I want to watch when we start this game up next show. We're out of time here.
All right. You want me to follow the arrows next time, or should I just continue
We're going to follow the arrows next time. And maybe in Hoverboard Hero, Joe will get a hoverboard instead of running around everywhere.
No.
You were supposed to get a hoverboard, Joe.
You know what? That may be the case, but the vinyl.
Well, we got to learn, and this is a part of the experience here. So something along the lines will get more into the details of what happened here to Joe as he got misguided. So that'll be a fun notion and thing to talk about in the next one.
Yeah, and before we close it down here, and I just want to highlight the other experiences that we have queued up for the next show, GMAE here. We have on the list WMG Music Life 2 on page 2. We've got Life Made Me Paul's Experience final song. I don't know what page it was on. We got Mama de Nancy sing The Ant and the Grasstoven, like Beethoven, but grasshopper. I see that.
Okay.
And then Besmier's WMG Mystic Meadows, all queued up. So we'll be playing some of those in the order in which they were received after this experience. What you got?
I was just noticing I finally noticed the planets like flowing around you here. They're going so quick. Oh, yeah. I actually really love that.
Whoosh, whoosh.
That right there. That is cool. All right. I'm excited to get into this one on the next one. Oh, that one almost hit you. I'm excited to get into this one on the next one.
I'm going to stand right here and see if it has collision on.
We got, I don't think it does because it just went through the ground, right? It looks like there's a QR code for this one done by Roxy and Fred and Ferd. Go give them some love over on Twitter. And of course, all of the creators that were highlighted on today's show. This one's about you guys.
Let's pump up the music. And as we go into the intermission screen, stick with us over on twitch.tv. We're going to raid anybody who is creating inside the Sandbox Game Maker or playing in the metaverse right now. So stick with it. And we'll see you in the next one.
Have a good day, everybody.